Kent snapped his fingers, and his eggs flew out of the skillet and onto his plate. It had been just over a year since the wizard had arrived in this strange world, but he had made the best of it. Despite the unusual traditions, odd rules, strange paper currency, and common attire, he did well to adapt and blend in. It helped that he changed his name from Calthornius. The most difficult thing to take in had to be the fact that magic didn't seem to exist in this world at all. At least no one was able to use it anyway. Whenever he cast a spell, he had to make sure no one heard or saw. According to what he'd seen in those strange boxes with moving pictures and sound, quite a few things could happen if people found out about his magic. 9 out of 10 of them were very bad. Still, he had little issue hiding his mystical prowess. The one thing he had a hard time hiding, however, was, "Damn it, Meek, that was mine!" Kent's familiar had jumped over the table to snatch the bacon he was about to eat. The juvenile dragon was a fine and loyal companion, but was very greedy when it came to food. Meek squawked as he chewed away at the fine strip of fried swine. His scaly tail wagged back and forth as he savored every bite. This was Kent's chance to finish his breakfast before the little dragon stole it. He quickly scarfed down his morning meal and swallowed it all just as Meek turned around to seek another bite. Seeing the look in the little reptile's eyes, Kent set the plate on the floor so Meek could at least enjoy the bacon grease. The little dragon rushed over and immediately started licking the plate clean. Kent smiled down at the little beast before glancing at the calendar hanging on the icebox. 1 entire year. He thought back to the kingdom and the life he was forced to leave behind. A great dragon claiming to be the Void Walker had lured Kent's adventuring party and thrown the wizard through a portal it had ripped into the cavern wall. No one else came in after him, apart from Meek. He hadn't heard from them after all this time. They must have believed that he was dead. Best not to think about it. He had a job to get to, and the day was already wasting away. Kent stepped out into the parking lot with a sturdy box under his arm and clicked the key for his car. It wasn't anything special in this world. If he could have something like it back home, however, travel would be a luxury. The vehicle beeped and the locks opened. He popped open the trunk to load the box. He planned to buy groceries on his way home from work that day, and this would make bringing them in easier. He set the box down, and immediately a tiny figure jumped out and crawled under the towels that lined the floor. It moved fast, but he didn't miss it. "Meek, get out of there!" Kent lifted a towel to see Meek's pointed face looking up at him wide-eyed. "Oh no, you are not going to cute me into bringing you along. We can't let anyone see you." Meek pulled back and hid under the towels, purring loudly as he shuffled about. He wasn't about to let his master leave him behind again. "Meek, I'm dead serious. Get out and go back in the apartment," Kent spoke through clenched teeth. He didn't like being so strict with his familiar, but this was important. "We still don't know what will happen if anyone sees you. They might kill you for all we know." Meek peeked his head out, chirped once, and ducked back under the towel. Kent just about had it. He grabbed Meek with the towel wrapped around him and carried the wriggling mass of cloth back to the second-floor apartment. No one else had left their units yet, so he didn't run into any questioning neighbors. Thank goodness. He set Meek down on the couch. "If you stay quiet and behave, I'll buy you extra bacon," he promised the hatchling. Meek poked his head from the towel and remained silent, his tail wagging wildly. Kent smiled as he ducked through the door and locked it. Works every time. But he worried that before long, Meek may start to notice he never actually got more than one pack. He went to the car to get the engine started. The dealer who sold him the used SUV scammed him. The engine didn't run for more than 2 days. Luckily, as a wizard, Kent could breathe life back into the machine by inscribing a few runes into the metalwork. This meant that in order to get his vehicle going, he'd have to interact with the engine directly, but he also didn't have to pay for gas, which was a plus. Kent arrived at the office. He worked as a janitor there, which worked out well for him. It was a job that was easy to pick up, hard to mess up, and very few people would pay attention to him. He spent a lot of his time in empty hallways and rooms, so he'd occasionally find an opportunity to cast a spell or two to make work easier. Today was no different. Just push a mop through a hallway here, politely tip your hat to passers-by there, and a quick scrub of the toilets as you pass them. It wasn't a pleasant job, but it paid him well enough to get by. He even managed to impress his supervisor and land a raise a few months ago. Kent would sometimes think back to his old life. There were aspects of it he missed. But what did he ultimately leave behind? A few familiars, a routine of guarding against werewolves and behemoths, tending to the wounded, all for a few silver coins from a pompous king who didn't give a damn. Here he had a steady job, a comfortable home, instant access to everything he'd ever need, and no dragons breathing down his neck, except for Meek. Maybe I should get him that extra bacon after all.